got your back.
Greetings Exofighters, FiOth here, and in this video we'll be taking a look at all the new alpha variants of the exosuits that released earlier today. Each one of the exo we used to have now has an alpha variant, and their differences mostly stem from their weapon usage. That's not 100% true for every single one of them, but it's a general rule of thumb. For the purposes of this video, I will be using the stock configuration of each of the new alphas whilst explaining how the weapons work and showing you the function live. So, without further ado, let's start with the alpha variant of Deadeye. Looks like Magnum from the campaign, and the main difference here is the main firearm. It used to be called a Ravager, now it's called an Aggressor. It's a weapon that is both a shotgun and a 5-bullet burst rifle. When you ADS, you fire a burst. It is 30 damage to the head or weak spot of any enemy and 20 damage to center mass, that is the body. So it's 5 bullets for 20, 100 to the body per burst, and 30 to the head, 150 per burst. If you do not ADS, you are firing a short range shotgun with spread. 10 pellets for 16 on the body, that is 160 damage, and 10 pellets for 24 to the head, that adds up to 240. 240 is a lot of damage, especially when you're firing at the flimsy exos like Zephyr, but landing all those pellets to the head can be a bit of a challenge. The spread is not too crazy, so it's not impossible, but again, it's a scattergun. I don't think it's gonna be 100% viable to consistently land all these pellets. Apart from that, it's same old Deadeye. Rifle grenade, dive dodge, thrust attack, and cluster salvo. The other skills stay that hold L2 to fire more accurately, that's the ADS button, firing while aiming unleashes a 5-round burst, exactly what I discussed in the beginning of this presentation. So these are boy Deadeye, different variant, different methodology. For me, I don't understand why you really need to switch to two different ranges, because the Ravager is extremely accurate even when you're cross-mapping people, but I'm gonna give it an extensive try and let you know my thoughts in the future. Let's move on to the next one. Zephyr Alpha is an interesting beast. He doesn't use Tonfa anymore, but these Dagon Chakrams. It's a mid-range attack, short to mid-range attack, and of course it sports infinite ammo. Zephyr never needs to reload. It states, unleashes rings of energy from the chakrams built into your arms. Chakram damage can be increased by attacking from a specific distance. So I tried to understand what this specific distance was like. I went into their faces, attacked for 26 damage, which is kinda poo-poo. Then I moved back, attacked again, and I got 38, still poo-poo. Further away it was 70, and when you manage to go as far away as the chakrams will reach, it's 80 damage. 80 damage considering you do not need to reload and you never have to stop pressing the attack is pretty nutty. So you just spam this and the final attack will deal 100. That is the final attack in the combo. Combos are a bit lengthier when using alpha, so we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th attack is the strong one. If you land 4 attacks of the normal ones, it's 4 times 80, and that is 320 damage. Plus the finisher, it's 420 damage. That can kill certain exos in one combo. Let's wait for a fresh dummy to test it out. Dummies, if I'm not mistaken, have 500 HP. Has a little window of invulnerability. Now we can smash it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's a pretty insane amount of damage. Everything else about Zephyr is exactly the same. Sky high, linear strike, and the limiter override. So Zephyr Alpha, interesting, gives you a little more room to play around with distancing. Very interesting alteration, much more interesting than Deadeye's alteration so far. Let's move on to the next one. Someone there at Capcom must be a pyromaniac because once again Barrage brings in the damage. It states a rocket launcher that can be charged with R2, that's the attack button, to increase its explosive power and radius. Charged blast will hit you as well, but will also allow you to jump even higher. So we knew that with triple threat, you can jump like this, but now you have an alternative in rocket jumping. Will hit you for 50 damage, but will send you flying. If you use triple threat, you only get 30 damage, but you don't have to wait for the charge. Attacking an enemy directly will deal 125 damage, or if you charge it up and wait for it, it's 250 damage and will send them flying. One charge and two simple one is 500 damage, of course, it's simple math, but it's pretty impressive to behold the destructive power of this thing when you know the enemy has 500 damage. Like, two of these rockets will pretty much decimate the dummy right away. Or you fire 4 bullets in quick succession and cut their existence short. It's not the most fast firing weapon in the game, but it doesn't really have to be. The damage is so substantial, it kinda boggles my mind, like, wasn't Barrage already damaging enough? It's getting so much love, while some of the other alphas are quite strange. Just make sure you charge it all the way until you see this effect, and then unleash and enjoy the fireworks. Very, very powerful, very good addition, and I think this will replace my stock, because that grenade launcher was interesting, but really not exactly what I wanted in an EXO like this. Let's move on to the next one. My girl Vigilant now looks like a proper cowgirl, and the design is amazing, man. Whoever designed the Exos in Capcom should get a raise, no questions asked. So, what are we looking at? Exactly the same frame except for the gun. Prey Finder, a semi-automatic rifle. Each set of 5 rounds contains a bullet with extra power. So you have 20 bullets in the magazine in sets of 5 bullets. In each set, 1 bullet will deal increased damage. So that's a normal bullet, deals 60 to the head, 40 to the body. Now the extra bullet, the yellow bullet in my mag, is 150 to the head. There is no charging involved in this one. You just spam the button and attack. The powerful bullet in the mag also brings more recoil to the table. So I'm firing like this the normal bullets, and the final bullet brings more recoil. It's not very dramatic. You can still pretty easily keep your sights on target, but it's something to consider over greater distances. Barrel breaker, double jump, it's all exactly the same. Vigilant, as you know it, just doesn't have to charge a railgun or depend on burst attacks anymore. It's a semi-automatic, and it is performing the same way no matter how you shoot it. Pretty straightforward stuff. Let's move on to the next one. RB, I think, is the most changed of the bunch. First of all, he cannot punch anymore. He has a 5 bullets scattergun for extremely close distance that can be fired automatically. 12 per pellet to the body and 18 to the head, but good luck landing those because they go all over the place. His shield also saw a substantial change. You place it and you can autonomously move away from it. When you want to retrieve it, you click the button again. It explodes for a little bit of damage on the enemy. That will depend on the range. 80 was the range you just saw pretty much in their face. If it is directly on them, it's gonna be 100. The amount of damage is not insane, but consider the viability of having the shield in one place and yourself in another place. I'm gonna leave the shield here, and I'm gonna use my super. And as you can see, the shield is still there and can be detonated at will. So it gives you more maneuverability whilst you're also defended. RB used to be very reliant on just staying there, having to pretty much wait for enemies to come his way, but now you can have the shield in one place and your ass in another. I'm pretty sure this is gonna see a lot of usage. It's very different, and it looks like my boy Cherno Alpha from Pacific Rim, which is always an added benefit. Cherno, you were done dirty. Let's move on to the next one. The Alpha Krieger variant is a powerhouse. A 40 pulverizer, a shotgun with a powerful recoil and a wide spread that can be charged with R2. Charged shots knock back small enemies, and this small deal damage when colliding with others. Well, self-explanatory, everything else is the same, but this shotgun, man, this shotgun rules ass. A single shot is 10 to the body, 15 to the head, and the charged shot, it's 45 to the head and will destroy these dummies in a couple of applications. Let's see it in action with a fresh one. The charge can take a while and only holds 6, but man, the damage is impressive and it gives you options. Did you see this? That's 450 damage in one shot. Smaller frames will be severely punished from getting close to Krieger now, because what his problem was with quote-unquote problem, because some people liked it, the minigun could deal a lot of damage, but it was very small increments with every bullet. Now you can charge this beast, go up their asses, and blast them in the head. You don't even have to charge the second one, just land a good initial salvo and pepper the place with the rest of the 5 shells. You're bound to hit and kill something. If you don't want to charge at all, just go ham on them, and if you find them in the distance ready to drop the ball, boom! Ciao Bambinos. Very effective, and I think this Krieger will be my boy from now on, because I wasn't really a fan of the minigun, the previous one. Let's move on. Now, to understand Murasame Alpha, we need to be in front of something causing damage. What's changed here is the Itadorimaru, his glaive. Unleashes the same combo, but the difference comes from how he attains Rasetsu's stance. We're not dealing with a Vajra counter anymore, but with a counter attack that freezes enemies in an area in front of and around Murasame. The damage is low, but they are incapacitated for a bit, and especially in PvP, that will mean the difference between winning the engagement or losing it. It's not clear cut if this is better than the standard Vajra, because I enjoy the extreme damage of the Vajra a lot, but this plays into the Bruiser's more tanky role, more CC than straight damage, turning him more into a tank than, well, as I said, a Bruiser. Interesting alternative, not extremely impressive, but a good option to have nonetheless. Let's move on. I think one of the clear-cut winners of the Alpha variants is the Witch Doctor. Quantum Rod, a rod that fires a beam of energy that repairs allies, damages enemies and paralyzes dinosaurs. The beam effect will increase the longer it's focused on a target. So, for healing, you keep zapping them and you are healing them. For enemies, you keep zapping them and you are killing them. It goes from 17 to 23 and then to 28 as you keep pushing it. That is a lot of damage. You can use feed normally, your heals are, they always were, but this beam I think is a very good alternative to the stun rod, in the sense that you can actually deal decent damage with the Doctor now. Stun was good, but having a bit of damage is better, and from what I understand it changes the pace of healing and damaging, but also paralyzes dinosaurs, which doesn't really take anything out of the equation, just gives you more options. This Witch Doctor I think will be the staple from now on. Let's move forward. I think the strangest variant is Skywave. Skywave can now charge lightning strikes for 200 damage, smaller attacks for stun and a little bit of damage, but does not heal at all. Skywave is no longer support when it comes to the Alpha variant, and this is very strange because changing the archetype of an Exo to bring a new variant out is strange. Of course it has the ability that will heal, but this is on a long cooldown that there is no way in hell she will ever be able to heal a team with that kind of latency. The overdrive is exactly the same, so stopping them like this and then charging a couple of these lightning attacks can be a very interesting approach, especially if you're up in the air. But man, come on, like charge for 200 damage and no ability to heal kinda takes her out of the field 100%. I don't see me ever using this unless there's something involved in the meta that will make her very viable. Let's move on. Moving on to Baby Nimbus, or should I say Commissar Nimbus. Dude, the design of this is amazing. Switching her pistols for short-range shotguns, it states Bellona and Hygeia, twin shotguns that fire with a wide spread, inflicts damage to enemies in rend mode and heals allies in mend mode. What's interesting here is mode switch. Switches weapon modes and reloads with shells that fire a high number of pellets. Standard reloads will load standard shells. So if you look at my guns, when I swap them, they now have a green hologram over them, and when I swap them again, they now have an orange hologram on them. And this orange hologram means better shells. 13 to the body, 20 to the head. If you load them normally, you don't get that hue, you deal the same amount of damage but with fewer pellets. If you change like this, you can keep healing allies, but as you can perceive right now, not from a distance anymore, you have to be in their faces. So let's switch to mend. The healing is very substantial, very powerful, but the distance is extremely restrictive, and so is the distance for the shotgun that kills people as well. Interesting. What I'll say about this is that if the magnums felt a bit odd, and Nimbus always does feel odd because, well, there is a split-second delay between you ordering the shot and the shot being fired because she has to complete her movement animation, you will be less severely punished by using the shotguns because you will be right in their faces. Surely an interesting alternative. I am pretty confident people will find utility in this new approach. So, Exos, those are the 10 alphas offered to us by Capcom today. I hope you found them interesting. You know me, I bring you gameplay as often as I can. If you wanna help the channel out, consider Patreon or all those other platforms. Stick around for more. Leave any questions you have in the comment section below, and until next time, say shiny, shiny like chrome. Cheers!